How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right, introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Anthony Miller, currently from Houston, Texas.
All right, all right. Well, it's the 4th of July. I got my hat on and I'm going to some friends later. So, Anthony, we this is our first time meeting, and so I think it's awesome because I know that just when we were texting, you had some things that I believe can help some of our listeners, some of our viewers. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, starting from when you got released.
I currently got released June 6, 2023. I just did 9 years, 23 days on a 25-year sentence. It was a moment that I didn't think I was going to be able to get out, because of my history and just the seriousness of my cases. But man, God shifted the atmosphere and opened up the doors, man. And I'm currently at a transition house. Not where I wanted to go, but where I'm supposed to. I was born in Houston, Texas in 1984. My parents they lived in Houston till I was about 3 or 4 years old, and we moved to Cameron, Texas, a little town in Central Texas. They wanted to get away from the Houston area, and growing up, man, as a young kid, man, my father used to abuse my mother, used to beat her up and stuff. He had a lot of drinking problem and drugs and stuff, from heroin to just living a drug life. This is where my family's life took a shift. I still remember on Christmas Eve of '91. I was 7 years old. We had a house in the country, and my mother was cooking, and the house caught on fire, and it burnt the whole house down. And I still remember I was a little kid running to the house over saying our house is on fire. And before the fire department got to the house, it was already burnt down. And from that moment, my family took a change of living in housing and living day by day, making ends meet, and growing up and going to school was just a struggle. Sometimes we only had two sets of clothes during the school year. It was something embarrassing. I was ashamed because you seen the other kids having the nice things, and it was just one of the moments. But I was a good student, a good kid. But around 12 years old, that's why I started using alcohol and smoking weed with my parents. All the family members, because it was normal to them. And I continued to do good in school when I was 15, and someone needs to hear this. Don't be ashamed of what you've been through, because someone else needs to know what God delivered you from. And by the age of 15, I was smoking crack with my mom and dad, brother, sister, man. Every Friday, man, we had a whole plate of crack, and it was something that I didn't understand. It was just something for the family. And I had quit school and started working. And basically, man, every day was just struggling, living day by day to support a habit and just get by. It was a very sad situation, but I didn't know how bad of a situation it was because my parents, they thought it was okay. So by the age of 15, I caught my first burglary of habitation. Went to juvenile for a week and got put on probation. Working with my uncle in a roofing company. Got baptized, man. I didn't. They sprinkled with some water. I tell people I didn't get baptized back then, but he just made the devil mad because weeks later I'm still smoking crack and doing burglaries. You know what I'm saying? And talking about I'm saved and all this stuff because I did some paperwork, but I called my mom. We finally got strung out back in Houston, and me and my mom, we started doing burglaries to support our drug habit, man. And we both went to prison. She caught a 2 year sentence. I caught a 2 year sentence. And nothing changed while I was in prison. I came to prison in the end of 2002. December 13th, I always remember that day. It was Friday the 13th. I remember catching that chain bus to Guards West, man. I was 18 years old. And I ain't gonna sit here and lie to man. I was scared, nervous. Like, man, it just got real. But that whole time down there, I was jacked up, man. I was involved. I never been a gang member, but I always was affiliated with the negative stuff from drinking and smoking and tattoo. I'm a tattoo artist, so I got involved with all of that. Got back out, stayed out a couple of weeks, and went straight back to prison. Finished the 2 year sentence. There's that saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I didn't take no steps to change down there. And I finished that sentence and I stayed out, went back to the hood. I didn't have no family, man. I went straight to the streets. I was discharged at 2 year sentence and went straight back to the streets, got hooked on my partners, got the dope. and started selling, smoking, and 2 weeks later, I'm back with another 2-year sentence. And I pretty much I finished that whole 2-year sentence. I was down there tripping. I got jammed up, you know what I'm saying? Thought I could do what I want to do, mess with the guards and staff, establish relationships. So, and I didn't take serious about it, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I discharged, but got out the same way. Stayed out 4.5 months, got back in the dope game serious this time on the east side of Houston and met this chick. And I wasn't just selling dope, I was still smoking. And then I started doing burglaries again. And man, I did this burglary right before Thanksgiving, 2006. And the owner pulled up with the 3 little kids. Man, she blocked me in, and I already hit the house a couple times. And this chick I was with, her family was all Texas Syndicate, you know what I'm saying? So I just, she's like, man, just go ahead and run. I said, I'm not running, man. I'm tired of running. So I literally sat there and waited for HPD to come. And my whole mentality got hurt just one of these kids, or I could just sit here and face my consequences. And I did that, man. I faced my consequences. I got locked up that Wednesday. That Monday, I signed for a 10-year sentence. You know, I knew what I did. And I was tired of running. That sentence there, I kind of changed. I didn't get involved with the tattooing and smoking and all that. I kind of made some steps to get away from that, but I didn't know God either at that time. You know, we got that same bad, and then scared to go to church. And I didn't really get involved with the church. But that time I got out, I went to a transition at the Science Center over there off of Jensen Drive up there. I think it's 59, Little York and stuff. And it was a good place, man. I took a new route. I said, man, I got to go somewhere to better myself. And so I went for the medical electric company in Houston, started doing good. And I met this chick from in prison, got with her. Changed my life from the east side of Houston, moved to Katy. And it was a good thing. Her family loved me to death, but I didn't understand that kind of love because my family didn't show me that type of love. But I went the first year, man. It went from working at a landscape company. Started off at minimum wage $7.25, and eventually I climbed up the ladder, got my TDA license, and we started making $15 an hour. But the thing was, man, at that time I was still in my ways and still wanted to drink, smoke cigarettes. And probably after my dad passed away in February 2011, after I got out I got out December 23rd, 2009. So during that past year, my father passed away. And after that, I kind of went back to using drugs secretly. You know, I thought I was hiding it from my spouse and the parole and stuff because, you know, drugs come out your system 4 or 5 days, cocaine, crack, whatever you want to call it. And I thought I was beating the parole system. But during that duration, man, I stayed out 4.5 years. But during that whole time I was out, man, to whoever's listening, man, if you feel like you got control of your addiction or getting high or drinking, man, it's just gonna get deeper and deeper and deeper. And it got worse over the course of them years, man. In 2013, I caught a DWI case, high-speed chase, wrecked the car, and God showed mercy and grace on that. But I still didn't see it. Dismissed the case and everything with a lawyer, but I still didn't see God's grace until February. I was a beautiful husband. I had 2 more kids during that time. But even when I had my kids, watching them come out the womb, I still didn't appreciate it. I used to come back home after 2 or 3 days. My wife used to find me and she would just show me love, man. Just go take a shower and go eat. And but I didn't understand that type of love. But there was many nights where I used to lay with my 2, 3 kids and just break down crying and say, man, God, why I keep doing this to my family? You say you're going to help me, Lord. But a month to go by and I'll be right back at the same thing. Like, man, what's wrong with me, man? But I didn't know about them strongholds and generational curses. I didn't know nothing about all that. I thought it was just normal life living. And February 14, 2014, man, I was tired, man. I just got up and left my wife and kids on Valentine's Day. Cooked the breakfast, flowers, cards, and I just tripped out, man. I got in my truck, went to go buy some crack, and I never came back home. And to March 23rd, I was, living in my truck, selling dope, motel rooms, prostitutes, strippers, you name it. I was doing it, man. It was just, I was so caught up in my addiction, I didn't know how to admit that I had a problem. I had too much pride to say, hey, I needed help. Even my parole officer was trying to tell me, hey, what's wrong with you, man? You've been doing good all these years. I said, yeah, it looked good. I said, but I was fooling you guys this whole time. Before I left my wife, I was dirty. I had crack in the truck, took a big hit before I went in there. He said, you're going to do a drug test today, Miss Mass. Man, you put that cup up. He said, what's wrong with that, man? I just hit some crack in the parking lot. He said, man, come to my office. And he was telling me about Jesus, man. Telling him I had anointing on my life. And man, I didn't understand that. Mr. Austin, I don't know where you at, but I could see the seeds that God was planting in my heart. Amen. But March 23rd, this is where it starts getting real. March 23rd, I went to my house to see my kids. And my spouse, she was on the phone with somebody, so I, snatched the phone away from her, and she was talking to some other dude. So I broke the phone, threw it at her, tripping. And she called the cops and put a family assault case on me. Well, at that time, a couple of weeks go by, I was going to turn myself in. That didn't happen. So April 8th, 2014, I went to her sister's house to drop off some stuff for my kids. And it was good. We didn't have no bad miscommunication or nothing. It was just, okay. So I went to her job, my spouse's job, and I had this female in the truck with a bunch of crack and ice on me, tripping. So I went back and give her some money and blessed her. Well, she pulled up, she started tripping. So I take her keys and purse out of the car. And then she called the cops. They don't take your truck. I said, nah, you ain't taking the truck. You got the house, not your car, man. And she like, you're tripping. I said, nah, you ain't taking the truck. So she jumped in my driver's seat. So I told her to get out of my truck. So I pulled her out, trying to take off. She jumps in. I had a 2010 Ford F-150 and she jumps in my back seat. So what I do, I take off with it. Yeah, I ain't waiting for no cops. I got dope on me and crack and ice, and I'm not waiting for no cops. So I take off with it. While on the way driving, I have, I picked up homeless people, dope fiends, and he had the squeegee handle for cleaning windows and stuff, right? Man, I had one of them handles in the back seat. Well, she started hitting me in the back of the head, broke my wrist. I was like, hey, chill out. And she didn't want to chill out, so I put in that Jack in the Box of I-10 and silver, and right in front of the cameras. And I pulled her out. I didn't hit her or nothing. Just pulled her out, and I'm trying to take out. Well, she goes to the passenger side and drags the female out, and she starts beating her up. This is rush hour, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I found myself in the county jail facing more cases because, I was on a high-speed chase. After that, a bunch of other stuff happened too. She come outside shooting them. It's a long story, man, a testimony, but I found myself and they trying to give me all this time and cases are getting dismissed from her. She wrote affidavits on the case, but the cases I did do, they're trying to give me 45A. I was going to trial, 35. She's part of my cases too. Then third day in trial, they offered me 225, and my lawyer said, you got 7 more indictments pending. You still got 5 more aggravated robberies in another county. She said, if you don't take to the plea bar, we won't give you 50 and 60 eggs stacked on every case because of your criminal history. She said, you're out of there. You're done. You're going to die in prison. So I signed for the 25 years. But during that time in the county, I swatted a bunch of dope and died, and they took me to the county. And that's why I had my encounter with God when I first got in Harris County. Got in Harris County May 16, 2014. And then I was in a suicide tank for 21 days. And that's where God started speaking to me through dreams. He said, stop running from me, son. You got to follow me. So I said, man, God, how I won't follow you if I don't know you? So I got my first Bible, June 2014. I just started reading that word. And Jesus said, your sins are forgiven as far as the east is west. And I didn't understand that. And he said, man, you tell a sinner of the ears of a way, it will cover a multitude of sins, James 5:20. And it's like, man, I just kept telling people about Jesus, man, a need for a savior. And during that transition time, of going to prison, I got involved with the ministry, faith-based program. You know, the first time I seen parole in October 2016, they set me on 5 years. My time wasn't even ag, amen. I had signed for 225s and a 3 running concurrent. And they set me off 5 years because one of my cases was messed up. They didn't go off my plea agreement at trial. They went off to indictment. So burglary of habitation with intent to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, that's 125. Retaliation. Hey, if you guys feel like saying something stupid to somebody, I said something to my brother-in-law. I said, I'm gonna get you and the family. And they gave me 25 years. So I always think before I speak now. But during that time in prison, man, I applied myself to the plumbing class, got my apprenticeship license as a plumber, kept serving in the ministry, preaching behind the pulpit, ministering to the gang members. And people said, what gang you bang? I bang Jesus. If you need prayer, come holler at me, man. And they said, man, brother, you throw it off for real. You know, because God said, if you're for me, who could be against you? So I said, okay, God. Then over the years, I got shipped to Roach Unit, which is is a unit of 85% with sex offenders. I didn't like it, but that unit taught me how to love sex offenders because Jesus said, I love everybody. God is a God of love, and you know what I'm saying? Your sin is no different from their sin, so it broke me down to know how to love them brothers, man. So, because if you still breathe, my favorite quote, if you still breathing, you still have a purpose. So during that time, I got an OJT at the soap factory as a chemical lab technician. And that's where God had a shift to let me have favor with the plant manager and got me shipped to Winnie. Now I made parole, you know, in December 14th, 2022. And it was a blessing from God. They put me in the FI3 program. But during that course of time, God was preparing me, man, to prepare myself for this situation. Well, man, I had got my CDL license in prison. I drove for the state for 3 years. So if you say God can't open doors, man, he opened up some doors. But and it prepared me to this transition that's called Charm in Houston. And it's an amazing place to stay connected with the fellowship of the brothers. For my course of time of being released, man, I only had my clothes on my back. Fanny wasn't there, just my mom here and there, but she's struggling. But and the ministers, volunteers. So when I got out, man, I got more shoes, boots, and clothes than anything else you can imagine, right? So if God takes something away for you, it's not to hurt you, but to let you draw close to him and to trust him. So I took people because we didn't know how.
What are two things that have helped you in that transition home?
Two things. It teaches me to humble myself because I'm on a GPS electronic monitor. You know, everything's done by schedule. Instead, I call it God's protection service because it don't allow me to move too quick. And it's really a humbling experience because, you know, God will show you every day that, hey, I love you, son. I'm there for you. And he's put brothers in my life to continue to minister to me, encourage me. And they said, just be still and trust God through the process because, man, I'm free, man. I ain't in no white no more, man.
So let me ask you this. What's one thing you could tell the individuals who are watching this that they can work on while they're there to where if they have to go to a transitional house, they'll be better prepared?
Man, I encourage anybody out there right now, if they got some faith-based programs or the fellowship in the church or whatever you believe in, man, get connected with the body, man, because it shows you God's love in a way that you never experienced. And it prepare you not to be focused on your family because it's like you still got kind of like incarcerated, but you're not incarcerated. So it really prepared me to be linked up to a new family. Because if your family ain't there, God said he'd do a new thing and he'll prepare you for this new family with welcome arms. And trust me, your family is coming back, man. I never thought I'd have people come in my life. So, and it's to glorify God. And it's just be ready to submit and to humble yourselves because it is a challenge. But, you know, God is our strength. You know, it's a mental challenge because I see people leaving. I can't leave across the street, you know, unless it's on my schedule from point A to point B. So it's but a blessing because I know something amazing is happening if I just be still and trust God through the process.
Okay. Is there any surprises that you've experienced concerning that GPS device that you want to let somebody know?
Man, on this GPS monitor, man, they changed my parole stipulation right at the last minute from electronic monitor to GPS. And I didn't know the severity of it. You know, you got to really mentally prepare your mind because, you know, the GPS, you got to make a schedule with your time, say from 9 to 11. You got to have the address, the day, and you have to do it a week ahead of time. I still ain't looking for work. I got a bunch of work, but I can't move with forklift license, CDL. But the thing is, you gotta go by that schedule, and if you make sure your parole officer, hey, he's gonna tell you, hey, call me if the monitor goes off. You might be on schedule, but the monitor still go off. And man, it done went off a few times. One time he messed up and said I was on lockdown at church on a Sunday, and the TDCJ command center called from Austin, but he never gave me them numbers. So if you got this monitor, ask him for the command center phone number because he might have his phone off or he might not answer his text message just to be safe on your behalf to let someone, hey, I notified you, this is what's going on, because if not, it can fall back on you.
So
And like
let's walk through that real quick so that they understand. When you get out, if you're on a GPS monitor, you're going to have a parole officer. When I got out, I had two of them. That device at times, because of weather or signals or whatever else, it will go off. It is your responsibility to call in, because if you say, no, I ain't going to do nothing, I ain't done nothing, then when the police show up at the door and you find yourself back locked up, however long it takes to fix that, you're going to be stuck. So when he's saying, when you first get out and you're on that GPS, you want to try to locate the phone number to the command center in Austin. And what that means is this, like on the weekends, your parole officer won't get the signal. The people in Austin will get the signal, and you're able to call and say, hey, I have a question or something like that. So when you're getting out, make sure you not only have your parole officer's phone number, but also it's called the command center in Austin. You can get that because at the end of the day, everything is going to come back to that center. As this brother said, there can be incidents. I had an incident at 5 a.m. where my monitor was going off, but I'm in the shower. When I get out, I see that it's going off, and I call the command center, and she told me these exact words. I'm glad you called, Mr. Oliver, because I was about to send a warrant out for your arrest, even though I hadn't done anything. And so all he's sharing is do what you need to do if you want to remain free. And if you have an attitude that's like, man, it ain't on me, brother, that GPS will send your tail back to the penitentiary. But if you just humble yourself, it will pass. And when it passes, I'll give myself and other people an example. They may put you on a 3-month, a 6-month, a yearly check-in, and the only thing you have to do is visit for UAs, or they'll call you, or they'll do a video interview with you. But you've got to get through what you got to get through now to get to that point. We got 2 more minutes. Is there anything that you want to share with anybody in 2 minutes or less? Here you go.
Man, I encourage our brothers, sisters, whoever's watching this, man, prepare yourself and take advantage of what TDCJ offers. Wherever prison you're at, take advantage of the classes, the trades, because parole might not come right away. You might get a set off and you just wasted a whole nother year when you could have been bettering yourself. And see God. If you don't believe, man, just remember, just meditate on what God has already done in your life. And just know that people love you. If you feel like no one loves you, somebody loves you, man. God loves you, man. And he said you're a special treasure above all people, and he's called you from the farthest regions. He will not leave you or forsake you. Just call upon that name, man, and he'll reach out and do something I never thought I'd become this person. But I just want to tell you, when I love y'all, man, keep your head up. That GPS monitor, if it goes off, text, phone call. Then after that, if they don't answer, call the command center, because it's like I said, it's all about you taking it serious, and it's about your life. It ain't their life, it's your life. So
thank you.